Watch this video and then we'll talk about it.
Would you be a stay-at-home dad if your wife made over $500K a year?
I made a couple of videos that I posted to my YouTube channel where I'm talking about things we can learn from men. Yes, there are actual things that we can learn from men that will help benefit us. Oh, and I know that one random person is going to comment, but men are stupid. There's nothing you can learn from them. Just fucking listen to me. Calm down. If there's one thing a man is going to do, self-preservation is always at the forefront. Men don't settle unless it's going to benefit them in some way. If a man doesn't like you, if he's not attracted to you, if you're not his type, it doesn't matter how nice your personality is, doesn't matter how sweet you are, doesn't matter what his mama is telling him or what his friends are telling him, he's not going to talk to you. Now, he might sleep with you, he might take your money and your resources, but he's never going to actually love and respect you. And I have seen this trend on this app for a little over a year now. And men are saying they would not stay at home and take care of their kids. They would not give up their job and their independence unless their woman made a certain amount of money. Now, the funny thing about that is we don't have that same requirement. We'll stay home for Rick, who's a key holder at Foot Locker. Now, nothing against Rick. I mean, at least he's working. He's ahead of the game as far as a lot of these men nowadays are concerned. But being realistic enough to recognize that a certain amount of money has to be coming in for a certain lifestyle to be lived. And there are lots of women who become stay-at-home moms because daycare is expensive. However, when you look at it in the long run, so is staying at home for them. And that's where you get women scrambling to join these MLM multi-level marketing schemes to bring in some kind of money because they get knee deep in it, and then their husband wants them to go back to work because they were both misguided and delusional as far as what it was going to take to maintain that particular lifestyle. Now, I'm just being real here. Don't get mad at me. I see it all the time. Woman stays home. They come together. That's the plan. And then the bills start billing, and the diapers start diapering, and the formula starts formulaing, and shit starts happening. And they're like, oh, this is a bit much. And then the man starts to get, and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking up for men. I need you to listen to me and stay on task here. But life starts lifing. And he is like, well, I kind of need us to go back to work. A lot of people are lucky to maybe have a family member that will watch their kid for them, or they find a work from home job, and then the wife is scrambling and frustrated because she wants to keep staying at home, and I don't blame her, rightfully so. We're territorial. We want to protect and love our kids. We don't be trusting other people, so they fall prey to MLM schemes where they lose more money and more time. When I tell women to look at the amount of money this man makes and hold it next to the future that you want and see if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, that's not your guy. Well, I just don't want to be alone. Well, I just don't want to, whatever. Okay, well then, settle and suffer the consequences of that. You have to be smart. Sure, fall in love. Use your heart. But at the end of the day, we also have to be smart. We also have to be willing to wait for what it is that we want. And the waiting room is where a lot of women fall prey to the trap of patriarchy, that we are nothing without a man. The loneliness starts to set in. Maybe we're the last person in our friend group to get married, and we're frustrated, and our phone's a little dry, and we want to text somebody, and Valentine's Day is coming up, and I want to wear matching pajamas. And then you settle for Rick, who is the key holder at Foot Locker. And now you're both toiling and slaving. Boom, now you have a baby. And daycare is expensive, but you also can't afford to stay home. And now you're both just kind of fucked. And now you're arguing over money. And now you're frustrated. And it leads to issues with intimacy. And then the end of a marriage is born. Then you have men who know they can't live up to this standard, and they call you a gold digger. And it's not about digging for gold. It's about you being smart. And what we can ultimately learn from men is to be smart. How is this relationship with this man going to benefit me? Am I going to lose more than I gain? Because let's be honest, in the average relationship, let's just be real here. The job of being the default parent is going to fall on the mom. Okay? And with that being said, you want to at least be paid for your labor. And I'm sorry, Sarah, but Rick, the key holder, is just not going to get that done for you. I posted a video, 2 videos, part 1 and part 2, where I talk about how I got to a point where I became a happily single woman. And on one of those lists, I mentioned be comfortable with the uncomfortable. You have to become okay with being the last person in your friend group to be in a relationship. You have to be comfortable seeing everybody else hold hands and post pictures of their matching pajamas. You have to be comfortable with your phone being dry. You have to be okay with being alone until and if you get what you want, or else you will fall victim to patriarchy. You will rush and you will settle and you will spend the rest of your life fucking arguing over money when you can just wait and not settle and be willing to be single for as long as it takes until and if you meet someone who makes the money that you'll need to properly live the life that you want and raise your kids if you decide to have children. We really need to start being smart. We really need to start looking out for ourselves, because we're not doing that. I believe in love, yes, I believe in romance, but I also believe in my fucking future. And I'm not going to date anyone who is going to take me backwards. Call me stupid, angry, aggressive, bitter. Call me whatever you want. But one thing you're never going to call me is broke.